OPEC leaders hitting an impasse with no agreement on raising production limits. The price of crude right now is higher. We've got WTI up by about 1.7%. Brent is higher as well. Let's get to Brian Sullivan with more on this developing story. Brian.
Yeah, Melissa, thanks and good morning. I guess call this the epic OPEC impasse, and it's got oil prices at multi-year highs right now, as you just showed. All right. OPEC was scheduled to meet again virtually yesterday, but they called it off after my sources told me that Saudi Arabia and Russia declined to participate in the video call because they simply felt it wasn't going to amount to anything. All right, what is going on is complicated, and it goes beyond oil. But here are some of the key headlines and takeaways. First, OPEC effectively had a deal to raise oil output by 400,000 barrels a day from August through December. That was all but agreed upon before last Thursday's planned one-day meeting, which has now turned into a 5-day saga. Remember, OPEC cut production by millions of barrels a day during the height of the pandemic, with each member country of OPEC and OPEC Plus taking a share of those cuts. Now, those cuts are based on specific baseline levels of what they are able to produce. Bring that graphic that we just showed you back up. As part of the deal OPEC tried to get done last week, they were going to extend those so-called baseline levels from May of next year all the way through the end of next year, the end of 2022. Now, that part of the deal, not the output increase, angered the United Arab Emirates, one of OPEC's most important members, because it argues that those baseline levels do not reflect its current ability to produce more oil. They have spent billions upgrading the capacity, and they want to use it. They've also got a new oil futures contract called the Murban that they need to promote. And for that, you need more barrels of oil. The UAE also simply says, look, why do we need to tie the extension of time to our deal to add more barrels? Let's just split the two apart. We agree. Add more barrels to the market as soon as possible. Then later on, we could talk about the timing of this baseline thing. But OPEC, led by Saudi Energy Minister Abdulaziz bin Salman, counters that the longer deal is necessary because the world may not be out of the woods yet with things like COVID variants, potential new lockdowns, more Iranian barrels coming back online, and global demand still being a little shaky. He wants to make sure, guys, that OPEC does not overproduce and send the global markets crashing again like they did early last year. All right, like we said, this is complicated, but here's the takeaway. Having spoken extensively with both sides over the last few days, I can report that all OPEC members do agree they're okay adding 400,000 more barrels per day to the global oil markets. That's not an issue. Demand up, prices up, and the world can easily absorb the extra barrels. So they are aligned with that. And if they can agree on this baseline extension issue, we may see more barrels per day coming online. If not, if the two sides cannot come together, oil prices in the near term could certainly keep moving higher. The Biden administration taking notice, prodding OPEC to get a deal done, to add more barrels, guys. $5 a gallon gas, not politically palatable to anybody. And I think one thing that has not been talked enough is that the market is so worried and flexing on 400,000 more barrels of oil per day. The U.S. was producing nearly 2 million more barrels per oil per day just 3 years ago. Our output collapse has put OPEC back in the price driver's seat. But Melissa, as you know, it's benefiting investors. You talk about it on Fast Money, 5 p.m. Eastern. The XOP, XLE, other ETFs, oil and gas stocks, they have all been soaring over the past year.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.